Donald Trump's woeful poll numbers. They've been pushed. They've been pushing his campaign and his presidency into this big panic, as we've seen. With the stunts about Dr. Fauci and firing campaign managers and switching them around. He's just trying to find something to glom onto. So the latest thing is this childlike stunt where he has some American-made pickup trucks, some big weights, and some big toys of construction equipment. So CBS's White House correspondent Mark Noller dipped into this, and he explained, on the soft lawn, the White House seeks to make a political point by setting up a crane, lifting the weights of regulation, quote unquote regulation. I added the quotes, but that's what the weights are. From a bed of a red truck, while showing the burden of regulations weighing down the blue truck. So the blue truck is dropping into the springs. And the red truck weights have been lifted because Trump is a red one. So he brought us some trucks and cranes. The crane itself said the Trump administration on it because they're the ones that are lifting this out. I'm trying to figure out if this stunt, and there's a bunch of reporters on the lawn trying to figure out why they're there. And so this stunt, who exactly are looking for it to appeal to his base voters or just himself? Because he got a chance to walk between some cool Chevy trucks to see really what's happening. So let's hear a little bit of his speech from it actually at his Heartbeat of America commercial that he was putting together. Let's see what he had to say.
Helping so many others.
All right, we're continuing to monitor this. President Trump talking about this deregulatory push. I do want to clarify a couple of things. He said that no president in history has cut regulations as much as he has. That is true. I think he might have mischaracterized the regulations that were added under Barack Obama. They were largely financial related. You might recall we had this little thing called the financial meltdown, and much of those regulations were geared to preventing banks from ever investing in things like risky mortgage securities, pooling them, selling them off. That tended to be really the scourge of that entire period. So more than half the regulations the Obama administration added were of that bent post the meltdown. Another quick point, when the president referred to the horrible results, I put that word in there, or the disappointing results of the prior administration for adding those regulations, be that as it may, the unemployment rate did under Barack Obama go down from a high of 10% to around 4.7%. President Trump, of course, sent that even lower, eventually getting us down to around a 3.5% unemployment rate. But I didn't want to leave you with the impression that during those 8 years when Obama first came into office and we were bleeding about 1 million jobs a month, that was a standard fare and that characterized the whole 8 years. The recovery itself might have been weak, but we were coming off, a meltdown. So again, both presidents can certainly crow about the growth that they saw, but it was not a disaster under Barack Obama.
Wow, Neil Cavuto steps in literally mid-sentence. It's like, listen, I can't let you guys hear this anymore. can't let you leave with the impression that any of this makes any sense. The day that Neil Cavuto is defending President Obama and his policies, and how also, in a way, shot down the end of Bush's term. It's like, yeah, he was inheriting this horrible economy, and then the first couple of years were disastrous, but look how he brought it together. Wow, Neil Cavuto. Donald Trump can pull this out.
Yeah, so first of all, it was the world's worst photo op. Having those trucks with random triangular weights on them, like every single person looking at it goes, wait, what? Like, what is this? Like, what are we looking at and why are we looking at it? And secondly, if you're new to politics, you might not know this, but there's a Hatch Act which says that you're not allowed to use your political office for campaigning. So we put you in there to be our representatives, and it applies to congressmen, senators, presidents, etc. We didn't put you in there to spend taxpayer money to campaign for your next election. So when presidents talk at the White House, they almost always talk about policy and they don't get into campaigning. Is there subtle campaigning? Of course there is. Was there under Republicans and Democrats in the past? Yes. But this is not subtle. This is not anywhere near subtle, as he does this giant photo op. And the other day, he just went into a sidewinder on how much he hates Biden, which was obviously about the campaign. It forced almost every network to stop covering it because they're like, he's clearly campaigning from the White House. Not only is that not kosher, it's actually illegal. So, all right, there's that part of it. But the most amazing part is what Jayar is talking about here. Jayar is a host here. He's also the senior producer, and he's been the senior producer for a long time. So he's actually had to listen to Neil Cavuto for decades now, right? And Neil Cavuto is one of the most annoying conservatives in the country. Before Trump, could not stand him. Never said anything that we've ever liked for a minute, okay? And Trump is such a disaster. He's turned Neil Cavuto into a liberal defending Obama. So if you're not familiar with Neil Cavuto on Fox, you can't understand the degree to which that is a shocking development. There was never a Democrat that Neil Cavuto didn't want to tear down. Now he's saying, look, guys, he's making me say it. Obama was pretty good. He brought unemployment down from 10 to down to 4. And he just, the things he's saying is so demonstrably false. Even I've got to tell you, for God's sake, it isn't true.
Yeah, because if he looks around and then continues to push his narrative, Neil Cavuto, you got guys at Forbes magazine that are writing things about the economic recovery and everything in 09 when Obama came in. So you're gonna eventually have this collision of fact versus fiction. And he's like, okay, I mean, it's just kind of right in front of our face. Let's go to this quick quote from Chuck Jones in Forbes. He said, each of the last 3 years of Obama's economy was stronger than Trump's 2019 when adjusted for trade, inventory impacts, and government spending. So in the middle of this article, he points out things that happened at the end of the Bush administration. Let's go to some of the graphs, both coming from the GDP growth from 08 to 19, of course, the beginning of Obama to the last year with Trump, and also job numbers, number of jobs that were added. So, of course, the first 2 years and the beginnings of the Obama administration, he's picking up from the disaster of W. Bush, which I'm going to point out again, the disaster of W. Bush. Because people have this reminiscing feel of W when we have Trump in office, but it was a disaster. We're still talking about all the things of economic recovery and how these fiscally responsible conservatives, all this talk they've been doing, this isn't that much different. He's just not good at selling it, or he's even worse at trying to cover it up. And or actually, he's a host within himself. He only thinks about himself in everything that happens, so he can't even find a way to cover an excuse. But anyway, the recovery's gone, and Trump has picked up, just like he's done with everything else in his life. Someone gave him something good, and he claimed all of the success over it while he destroys it.
So, Jayar, that's such a great point. So I'd almost forgotten that. I mean, this is a story of Donald Trump's life. His dad gave him $413 million. And he had 6 bankruptcies. He just takes what other people gives him and he bungles it. He's a serial bungler. So Obama handed him an amazing economic recovery and an economic boom, stock market way up, unemployment way down. Now, there were issues in there. Wages are not nearly high enough, and we criticized Obama for that. We've criticized Trump and Bush and all of them for it. But overall, in the numbers that Trump cites, Obama was clearly better, and he handed it off to Trump, and Trump maintained it for a couple of years. By the way, by pressuring the Federal Reserve to make stimulate the economy even further, cutting taxes, artificially inflating the stock market. He pumped it full of sugar, right? And kept it up for a little while. And then it crashed as soon as he bungled coronavirus. And just like he did with his dad, he takes his dad's money and then finds a way to bungle it. So I guess Obama was his second daddy. And I don't know, maybe he'll have to, live with the psychology of that for the rest of his life too. Like, oh, daddy, I let you down again.
You know, so Obama left him. Obama left him. What, I forget how many pages this report was for a pandemic preparation. They ripped it up, took it off the shelves, and tossed it out the window as soon as they got in office. Something else that Obama left him that would help him with this situation, and the economy maybe wouldn't even have been crashing the way it is because his preparedness for something like COVID could have been put in place, and he could continue to act like it's his recovery.
And Jayar, one last thing, I just realized too, so he'd go bankrupt and his dad would bail him out. I remember the hilarious one where his dad went and bought a bunch of millions of dollars in chips from one of his casinos, and they just, I think he had his lawyer do it and just walk out the building, right? Okay, so it's illegal. You can't do that, but it's just a way of transferring money to him while trying to avoid taxes. Just constant bailouts. Well, what's going to happen with his second daddy, with Obama? Well, Obama is sending his right-hand man, Biden, to go bail out the country after Trump screwed it up, just like his first dad.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.